And so when 12 packs were not part of the plan when we decided to go into cans, and it absolutely became part of the plan once the pandemic hit and everybody was drinking at home, and 12 packs just took off, like even more than they already had. And it just so happened that when we were planning on doing cans, one of our vendors presented us with this foldable 12 pack that didn't require any machinery. You could do it all by hand, and the flaps folded closed, and it was very secure and very well built. And we were like, oh, that's cute. That's way too much money. There's no way we can do that. And the pandemic hit, and I was like, we got to call that guy right now. And it ended up working out, so.
Well, that's a good segue to one of the first things I wanted to ask you about, because when I started with Revolution, one of the very first things I had to do was they had already decided to go into 12 packs, and they bought a machine to help be able to pack them at some kind of at a pretty big scale. So I got like an agreement to review to sign off on, and then it showed up 6 months later. But it gave me like a rigid philosophy of, oh, you need this big machine to be able to do 12 packs. It's not feasible to do them any other way. When I saw you guys doing it, and a few others around the country, but not a lot, it just got me thinking of like, why not? Like, why not hand pack them if this has potential to reach, a completely different customer? And I know it's a pain, it can be a pain operationally, but what you just said about this kind of unique box, I was going to ask you like how it works with like, do you have to hand glue them? And like what is the difference labor wise in terms of snapping two PakTechs onto two different 6-packs versus getting it into a 12 pack carton, and how does this carton help with that?
Yeah. So there's no glue on our 12 packs. They basically, they come to us flat. We fold them up, and the bottom of the 12 pack actually folds into basically a solid base, just the way it's designed. There's no glue there. There's no tabs or anything like that. And we actually put together a little wooden jig made out of pallet wood that holds the 12 pack at like a 45-degree angle. So as we load it, we don't have to like stick our hands in and move the 2 cans down, put another can in, like it all like loads up nicely. And the top of it actually just folds shut almost like a cereal box. And we were looking at these, and we got a sample, and it was actually from Mars Brewing. Mars did a 12 pack a long time ago. I forget what the beer was. And I put 12 cans of beer in it, Hams actually, because that's what we had on hand that was full. And I closed it up and I shook the hell out of it and tried to get it to break open, and it wouldn't. And I was like, all right, this is good enough for me. you know?
That's awesome.
So
Yeah.
on the labor side, packing them is actually very laborious. Like our production team is 5 people, including the head brewer. And when we're doing 12 packs, we all have to be there to work on it, because we're using a mobile canner that puts out like 55 cans a minute. And we got to pack 12 packs and fold up the tops and put them in a case tray and put a date on them and like all this stuff. And it requires all of us. Luckily, we're all salary. So at the end of the day, there's actually no cost incurred
no
for us.
incremental, no incremental cost.
Yeah. We actually get paid less the more we make. So
just your grouchiness might go up.
Yeah, I mean, we've got really good systems down. Like we can get it. It becomes a very long day because there's no way to take a break. But we've got the system down where it works for us, and we can put the beer out, and we can make sure all the labels are nice and all the seams are nice and the cans are looking good and all that kind of stuff.
Well, yeah, we got our machine. We have a DMM. I think that just stands for Design Machine Manufacturing. I always forget what the companies are, but we got that about a year ago, which is really just at the right time. And yeah, our 12 pack, we have 2 of our core brands that we do in 12 packs right now. And yeah, more, I mean, all the cans are up, but the 12 packs especially. So it's kind of it is a hard phenomenon to ignore. Yeah, it's more expensive, but gosh, I guess just trying to follow wherever the consumer demand and the way they shop changes, just to have the ability to pivot and adapt to that.
Yeah, and then like costs are a huge, problem with these, of course, and that's
Hmm.
why, one of my feedbacks to you is that yes, that increased cost is worthwhile, but it does have to be like closely managed.
Yeah.
And one of the big ones, and not the only one, but one of the big ones is labor, because if it's four unique beers, three of each going into a 12 pack, it doesn't have to be like that. But if let's say that's what it is, you can only fill one beer at a time, and so you're making one beer, you're putting it away, you're making the next one, putting it away, and putting it away. You don't have these cans in a pile. These cans are taking up trays and shrink wrap to keep them sturdy. So there's just a lot of cost that is very temporary
Yeah.
for the period where you're making all four beers and then bringing them back out to disassemble and put into variety packs. So there's both like the tray costs, which you may or may not, depending on how your canning line works, you may or may not be able to reuse shrink wrap, but then labor being the big one. The hardest part about labor is it's really hard to know how much it's going to cost you in labor until you
Hmm.
actually do it for however many months. We had
Right.
no idea. We figured out that it's got to be worth our time, and it can't be worse than X. But you don't really know until you do it. And then once you do, we kind of figure out on average what it is, and we treat that like an ingredient, like an extra ingredient. And then like a tray, we can't reuse our trays because of how they go in line when we
Hmm.
send the variety packs through. They go in line and get palletized, so we can't use a tray that's already built. So
Right.
that's 16 more cents, and the stuff
Hmm.
adds up. But I don't know how else to recommend the labor part, like in terms of what you can do in advance. You obviously can and should do the math to try to get to what you think it would be. Like I said, I learned that you'll never really know until you get a lot of repetitions, because you're going to figure out better ways to do it as you go. And that first round of doing it isn't going to be the best sample. You're going to want to wait till you've done it a few times and
Yeah.
learn a few lessons.
We just sort of jokingly thought of, just working through the logistics in our head and, having to everybody putting X amount of cans in a certain lane that goes into the box machine, but just to you know, to make it easier and cheapen it up, that everybody just randomly throws stuff on there, and so it's a mystery 12 pack, and it's going to be some of these beers we don't know. You never know which one, but we're not actually going to do that. I think that's a good way to make some angry customers.